Good morning, everyone. The distinguished dignitaries on the dais and a very distinguished audience also. While I'm very aware of the fact that on the dais and in the audience, majority of the people sitting here have earned the place to be here because of their ability and because of their services to the nation. I am the only one over here who is here only because of the accident of birth and not because of my own, as much as my own achievements. So I'm very thankful to the management and the alumni of UCC to honor me thus. I have still to actually merit such honor, but thank you very much. It has been a privilege because yesterday I came and saw and witnessed the grand celebrations at night and had the privilege to sit under the tree planted by my great-grandfather. Selfishly, that was my greatest reason for accepting this invitation. I wish I was here during the mango season and was able to enjoy the fruits of the tree my great-grandfather had planted, but some other time maybe I will have the privilege also. And so my gratitude is genuine and boundless because I have been thus honored. It has been a privilege for me that I have visited Kerala very often and have been able to witness the association, the close association that my great-grandfather had with this state during his lifetime. And I still keep discovering more and more of signs of his association. And so it gives me immense pride to be a part of that legacy, although merely being a part of that legacy by birth really doesn't mean much. Because the qualities that my great-grandfather had were not hereditary or genetical. They were earned by him from the efforts that he had made. And so the accident of birth really can't be turned into a claim which is more special than any of us, because if this country still considers him as the father of the nation, then everybody sitting over here has as much a claim on his legacy as I profess to have. And so I believe that we are all on an equal placement as considered to his legacy. We may be seeing a resurgence of adherence to the legacy of his murderer in New India today. And that is bound to happen. I am not intimidated by that. What I am concerned about it is how far we have today drifted away from the dream that not only he but the founders of this nation had seen for this nation. 75 years is not too long a period in the life of a nation. But from where we started to where we have reached is a remarkable divergence that we see in this nation. The nation I was born into and the nation that I live in today, to me, feel as if they are two different nations, and that is extremely sad that this kind of a change should happen in such a quick and rapid time, where we've become, as a people, we have become so unconcerned about the fate of our nation. I wanted to speak about education and everything. I'm going to speak about education and everything, but I cannot stop myself from talking about what has happened to this country when we are euphorically celebrating the 75th anniversary of our independence. Do we deserve these celebrations? Do we deserve to celebrate? That is a question that we all need to ask ourselves. And I'm not concerned about the political drift this country has taken, because that happens. In politics, these kind of upheavals happen, keep happening, and change happens also. And if we are to survive as a democracy, then it's a healthy thing for change to happen. Because that also gives us an assurance that it will keep happening, continue to happen. But what has happened to our society is what worries me most. When we were being told to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the poison in our society we were conveniently forgetting. Just 2 days before, the country very, very euphorically and patriotically celebrated the 75th anniversary. A 9-year-old boy, Dalit boy, was murdered in Rajasthan because to quench his thirst, he took a glass of water from a water pot reserved for a higher caste, upper caste teacher. And the teacher beat him up so mercilessly that the boy died because of the beating that he received. How many of us shed a tear for that boy? How many of us expressed our anger at such discrimination 75 years after we won our independence? Where is that independence for that Dalit child? Why have we become so unconcerned? Should we not be worried about this? During that month, when we were celebrating the 75th anniversary of our independence, a great miscarriage of justice took place. The rapists and murderers of Bilkis Banu and her family were released from prison. They were convicted. They were not accused merely. They were convicted for their crimes. And they were released from the prison. I accept that maybe the justice system allows after a certain period for a release from prison. But they were felicitated and feted when they came out of jail. They were garlanded and honored. Where was our contempt for such kind of actions? Why as a nation we did not stand up and say, this will not be allowed? Merely 8 decades ago, the people of this nation would stand up at every call that our leadership made for the freedom of our nation. We did not win our freedom because of our leaders. We won our freedom because of the citizens of that time. Why has our character changed so much that merely 8 decades later, nothing that happens in our country seems to concern us? Shouldn't we be worried about that? Shouldn't we be thinking about that? I can keep on counting events that have happened in this 1 month in August while we were celebrating our 75th anniversary of independence. That should have shamed all of us, and it doesn't seem to have done that. What happened? How did our souls die in such a small period of time? We must ask ourselves these things. And the reason why this has happened is because we fool ourselves into believing that we live in a democracy. Yes, the system, the mechanism of democracy is still there. But is the soul of democracy alive still? We must ask ourselves that. Because the soul of democracy is each one of us. Our beating heart is what energizes this democracy. Does our heart beat for truth? Does our heart beat for justice? Does our heart beat for unity? fraternity, inclusiveness, all great words enshrined in our constitution. Do we even understand them anymore? Shouldn't we be concerned about that? The time has come when we must act against these things. But unfortunately, we have reached a stage where we are not even thinking of these things. We are not concerned about these things. So how did this happen? I said that democracy is in peril. What is the greater threat is education in this country is under attack. Remember one thing, the British enslaved us, but they also introduced a system of education in this country. And remember one thing, that same education was made avail of by the Indians of that time, and more than 90% of our freedom fighters learnt and studied in that education system and learnt about freedom and democracy and their rights and fought for it. And today, in independent India, what is happening? Independent India has an education system that is converting free people into slaves. Very few institutions like the one I'm standing in today can still boast about instilling the spirit of freedom and democracy in their students. But do they have freedom? I just heard that an institution that is celebrating its centenary has to apply for autonomy to a bureaucrat in Delhi, to a politician in Delhi, to get that accreditation as an autonomous institution. It should automatically have gotten this. Aren't we a democracy? It is thanks to them that we can boast of glorious 75 years. I'm talking about the teachers of present day. The teachers of past, the job of teaching was not a job, not an occupation. It was a duty of love that they performed. They were not concerned about their remuneration. They were not concerned about the working hours. Their whole life was dedicated to teaching. I remember, I never had a chance to study in an illustrious institution such as this. I was a delinquent student and so could never aspire to get admission to prestigious institutions, so just barely managed to get a diploma. That is one of the greatest regrets in my life. But even in that system of education, I remember my teachers were more dear to me than even my parents were. My teachers were not available to me only during working hours. There were no working hours for them. I could walk into their offices in the school whenever I wished. After the school, I could go to their homes with my problems. And I was never thrown out. Not because I was Gandhi's great-grandson. All my fellow students had that ability to do that. Teacher used to be our teacher 24/7. Those were teachers. Today we have robots who give or teach, who are programmed to teach. They teach only during their working hours. They don't even have the freedom to teach the way they want to teach, the way they wish to teach, how they teach, what they teach. None of it is up to them. I see some students sitting behind. I see slaves over there also. Because they've never had the freedom to decide what. And if you think about it, you will realize that there is no democratic element in today's education system, and the new education policy is going to make it even more dictatorial. We are not concerned about it. It is going to dilute the real objective of education, the imparting of knowledge, enlightenment. Today I see people with fancy degrees, but I do not see the effect of that degree on their character, on their ability, on their personality. Unfortunately, I have the misfortune of attending a lot of academic conferences on Gandhi, because everybody thinks that I am only capable of talking about or understanding Gandhi. I can't understand anything else. So I keep getting invited to academic conferences on Gandhi, where a lot of professors and PhDs and things come and present papers. And it is so shameful that within 2 minutes of their presentation, we can pick out where they cut and paste their speech from Google and from Wikipedia and things. Nothing is original. Nothing is intellectually stimulating. This is the downfall of our education system, that today in the world, even an Indian PhD is not considered to be prestigious enough unless it is from a very well recognized institution. In my state, I know how easy it is to get a doctorate. I don't need knowledge, I don't need ability. The only thing I need is money and influence. And the doctorate will be delivered to my home. And I know that it prevails in most of the states in this country. Think about what we are doing to our tomorrow. When these phony doctors will be teaching our coming generation, how will they ever instill ethics, honesty, and correctness to our students? Shouldn't we be worried? Shouldn't you be worried as the front line that is delivering education to the future? I'm sorry I have to make generalized statements, but today we have reached a situation where these generalized statements have to be made, because we've conveniently closed our eyes and our minds to everything that is bad and going bad around us. Students today get graduation degrees. Does that empower them to get jobs? In my time, my parents used to say, just become a graduate, then you'll get a job that you deserve and you'll be able to make your career. Today, a single degree education, graduation does not ensure a job. Even engineers with just a BTech don't get a deserving job. Even managers with just a business management degree or a master's are not ensured of a good job. Why? Because it's merely the paper that they hang on their walls. It has done nothing to their minds, for their minds. We not be worried about this situation. And it starts, insidiously, it starts in primary education. Primary education is of such poor quality, and there are such disparities in the education that we offer to our own citizens between the children in the rural areas and the children in the urban areas. How can we ever have a citizenry that is at a common level, one level? Where is that level playing field? A student who has gone to fancy schools in the urban areas and has tuitions right from kindergarten coaching classes right from kindergarten. Think about that. Where our primary education has gone wrong. It has gone wrong because the system of enslavement starts right from there. The enslavement of minds starts right from there. Individuality is completely crushed, obliterated. Independent thinking is not encouraged. Because in every class, you are told that you have to study just this textbook. Don't bother about anything else. And when you pass out of that class, flush your mind because you have to make space for the next classroom, what you will be taught there. I remember going to schools and asking students from the 10th standard some question. And they'll turn back to me and say, sir, but this is from our 5th standard portion. How can we know that now? We are in the 10th standard. Isn't that shocking? Shouldn't we be worried? We are not telephones with manufacturer specified memory. Our manufacturer was benevolent enough to give us a memory without a limit, which could store any amount of terabytes, megabytes, whatever you want to call it. Why are we behaving like instruments and not like God's creations? Shouldn't we be worried about that? The ethics that the students observe in the management of the college, the honesty in that. But how many institutions remain which function on these principles? Please let's think about this. We need a new freedom struggle. And it's most needed in academia. We need to fight to free academics from the enslavement of the government. Teachers will not like this, but to students I keep saying, burn your textbooks. They are the worst thing to happen to the education in this country. I was told that this institution has one of the oldest libraries over here. That is where true education is available. Go to those libraries. Learn by yourself. But what do? We talk about the power of social media today. But its greatest power is in the disinformation, the lies, and the falseness that it brings into our palms, into our pockets, into our homes. And that WhatsApp University has today replaced the position that education institutions used to have. I hear students arguing with their teachers saying, no, what you're saying is wrong. WhatsApp told us that this is the fact. Let us be very aware of the poisonous ability of social media. Yes, it is a place of freedom. But freedom can also be very grossly abused. We need the wisdom to understand where that freedom is harmful and where it needs to be checked. Look what is happening to fact checkers in India. The government treats them as traitors. The government harasses them and prosecutes them. They're put in prison, denied their rights, and only if they are lucky enough to find an upright judge do they get the benefit of the justice system that ensures the safety of the Indian citizens. How many of them get it? You have a glaring example in Kappan. from Kerala who is languishing in jail. One court releases him and there are 10 other cases lined up. And each one of them, when they are seen and tried in courts, it will be realized that they are all trumped up charges. But to clear those 10 cases will take him a lifetime. Are we bothered? Is our judiciary bothered? Each and every pillar of democracy, I'm sorry to say, has been infested by termites today. And many of those have been self-infested. The government hasn't had to do much to corrupt those institutions. I'm sorry that on such a celebratory occasion, I'm making such a dreary speech. Unfortunately, I cannot celebrate India today. I am unable to celebrate India today. Thank you very much.